Look, when most of us think of classic art, we usually picture some dusty, quiet museum relic, right? Something perfectly preserved and, well, totally static. But what we're looking at today is actually the ultimate high-stakes artifact. In this explainer, we're going to zoom in on a physical specimen that has survived centuries of absolute obsession, brazen theft, and extreme physical trauma to become the undisputed global symbol of fine art. To really wrap our heads around the sheer scale of what we're talking about, let's look at the raw numbers. If you tried to buy this painting today, well, you couldn't. It's fundamentally priceless. But clinically speaking, if it were to be insured on the modern market right now, art experts estimate this single masterpiece would easily exceed $1 billion in value. That makes it, without question, the most valuable painting in the world. And that billion-dollar valuation translates directly into physical human traffic. Every single year, more than 8 million visitors crowd into the Louvre Museum in Paris just to see it. It's by far the museum's biggest attraction. Just picture that for a second. A massive daily stampede of humanity, all funneling into one specific room just to stare at a single, incredibly small object. So this brings us to the ultimate question we're unpacking in today's explainer. Why? Why is this specific, small piece of wood from the 1500s the most valuable, most copied, and most parodied artwork ever created? The answer isn't just about art history. It actually lies deep within its hidden, microscopic science and an incredibly chaotic, dangerous past. Section 1. Anatomy of the Smile and the Science Behind the Stare. Leonardo da Vinci began this portrait in Florence around 1503, and by 1506, it was largely complete. But burdened by his own intense, almost obsessive perfectionism, Leonardo actually took the painting to France with him in 1516. He spent over 14 years agonizing over microscopic refinements to the oil paint, working on it right up until 1517. During those 14 years, he used a highly precise technique called sfumato. If you look at it on a clinical, almost microscopic level, you'll see that Leonardo blended his colors without any hard, visible lines. By layering unimaginably thin glazes of oil paint, he created a mysterious smile that actually functions like a literal optical trick. Depending on exactly where your eye focuses on the subject's face, the expression physically appears to shift and change. And it gets crazier because it doesn't stop at the mouth. Since Leonardo was an absolute master of human anatomy, he understood exactly how to manipulate light and shadow to create a deeply unsettling optical illusion. The subject's eyes are painted in such a way that they lock onto you, appearing to physically follow you around the room from absolutely any angle. But who is actually staring back at you? Well, we have a very real subject set against a totally fake world. The most widely accepted theory is that the woman is Lisa Girardini. She was the wife of a Florentine silk merchant named Francesco del Giocondo. This grounds the painting in historical reality, and it's exactly why she's also known as La Gioconda in Italian and La Joconde in French. But contrast that grounded reality with the background behind her. It's not a real place. Leonardo painted a completely imaginary, dreamlike combination of different landscapes to frame her. Moving on to Section 2, the 1911 museum heist, and the shift from museum piece to global icon. For centuries, after Leonardo died in 1519, the painting was simply part of the French royal collection, eventually moving to the Louvre in 1797 after the French Revolution. It was highly respected, sure, but it wasn't the global obsession it is today. That changed literally overnight in 1911. The painting was brazenly stolen right off the wall by an Italian museum worker named Vincenzo Perugia. This singular act of theft thrust the painting into international headlines and created a completely unprecedented worldwide media frenzy. Its journey from there reveals a chaotic history of trauma and recovery. It was stolen in 1911, recovered in Florence, Italy in 1913, and finally returned to France. After that, its fame absolutely exploded. It toured the United States in 1963 and then hit Japan and the Soviet Union in 1974. But this unbelievable, stratospheric level of fame necessitated extreme physical security, ultimately leading to its current state in 2005, where it was permanently sealed away. Section 3. Surviving acid and stones, and the very real dangers of fame. See, this painting is a survivor of brutal physical vandalism. Fame attracts obsession, and obsession, unfortunately, attracts violence. In 1956 alone, it survived 2 bizarre and devastating attacks. First, an attacker actually threw acid at it, severely damaging the lower half of the painting.
Later that same year, a visitor threw a literal rock directly at the artifact, physically chipping the paint right near the subject's left elbow. These acts permanently scarred the specimen, cementing the reality that its fame was dangerously out of control. To prevent any further destruction, the modern-day clinical reality of the painting looks like a high-tech fortress. Since 2005, it sits behind highly engineered, climate-controlled, bulletproof glass. It's constantly monitored by the world's most advanced security systems. You are no longer just looking at a painting. You're looking at a heavily monitored biological and chemical containment unit holding a priceless artifact. And finally, Section 4, the final clinical facts, stripping away the mythology. Let's look at some raw facts. First, despite being commissioned by Francesco del Giocondo, Leonardo never actually officially delivered the painting to the family. He just kept it for himself. Second, if you zoom way in on our face, you'll notice a bizarre physical anomaly. There are absolutely no visible eyebrows or eyelashes on the subject. Experts theorize this lack of facial hair is either due to centuries of harsh aging, overzealous chemical restoration wiping them away, or hey, perhaps it was just part of Leonardo's original, strange artistic style.
Then there's the physical mass of the object itself. You might picture it as a light, airy piece of fabric, but the painting actually weighs a surprisingly heavy 18 pounds, or about 8 kilograms.
And that weight brings us to a major misconception. It is not painted on a flexible, lightweight canvas. This masterpiece is painted directly onto a dense, heavy poplar wood panel, measuring exactly 77 by 53 centimeters. That's 30 by 21 inches of fragile, warping, centuries-old wood. It's a highly vulnerable, organic object. Which leaves us with this final, truly provocative thought to take away from all this. Considering the microscopic genius of Leonardo's brushstrokes, combined with the fact that this heavy, fragile wooden panel has somehow survived international heists, acid attacks, being struck by stones, and centuries of biological aging, is the Monalisa truly the greatest painting ever created on its own artistic merits? Or are we ultimately fascinated by it because it's simply the greatest, most resilient survivor in all of art history? I'll let you be the judge.